My beloved child. There is something in the air around you tonight. Something invisible to the eyes, yet impossible for the soul to ignore. A quiet movement has begun behind the scenes of your life. You may not see it yet. You may not fully understand why certain emotions have been surfacing lately. Why memories have appeared without warning. Why a familiar energy keeps brushing against your heart when everything around you seems silent. But heaven sees what you cannot. And today, a message is being revealed for you. Listen carefully. Because this is not a coincidence. Someone is thinking about you far more than you realize. Not casually. Not occasionally. Deeply. The connection between your souls has been stirring in powerful ways. Even when distance separated you. Even when circumstances created silence. Even when the world convinced you that nothing was happening. Something remained alive. Something remained connected. Your soulmate has been carrying thoughts of you in moments nobody else knows about. In the quiet hours. During ordinary days. In conversations where your name was never spoken aloud. Yet your presence was felt. They have tried to focus on other things. They have tried to distract themselves. They have attempted to convince their mind that enough time has passed. But their heart keeps returning to the same place. To you. And what makes this even more extraordinary is that recent events have awakened emotions they thought they had hidden. Emotions they believed they had mastered. Emotions they believed they could keep locked away forever. But the soul does not forget what was written into its destiny. The soul remembers. Always. There is a reason your spirit has felt unusually sensitive lately. A reason certain songs suddenly carry deeper meaning. A reason unexpected signs keep appearing around you. The universe often whispers before it speaks loudly. And right now, the whispers are growing stronger. Your soulmate has reached a point where silence no longer feels comfortable. What once felt safe now feels heavy. What once felt easier now feels impossible to maintain. Because every unspoken word creates its own weight. Every hidden feeling leaves an echo. And those echoes have become impossible for them to ignore. Yet there is something even more important you must understand. The emotions building inside them are not based on fantasy. They are not based on temporary loneliness. They are rooted in realization. A realization that arrived unexpectedly. A realization that changed everything. And when it happened, it stopped them in their tracks. It made them question choices. It made them revisit memories. It made them wonder whether destiny has been trying to guide them all along. You see, people often recognize the value of a connection only after life places enough distance between them and what truly matters. And lately, your absence has become impossible for them to overlook. They miss your energy. They miss your presence. They miss the feeling they experienced when your soul touched theirs. Even if they have never fully admitted it. Even if pride has remained in the way. Even if fear has kept certain words trapped behind closed doors. The truth continues growing stronger. And truth has a way of finding its voice. That voice is getting closer. Much closer than you think. In fact, there is an emotional conversation forming right now. Not someday. Not in some distant future. A conversation that is already taking shape within their heart. Words are being rehearsed. Feelings are being examined. Questions are being asked. And every answer keeps leading back to the same person. You. But before those words can reach you, one final realization must occur. One final emotional barrier must fall. And when it does, everything may begin moving far faster than anyone expects. Because what they recently discovered about their feelings is something they can no longer keep hidden. And what happens next? may be the moment that changes the entire story. A strange shift is taking place. Not in the outer world where everyone can see it, but in the private chambers of a heart that has been wrestling with emotions for far too long, while others continue living their lives unaware. Your soulmate is standing at an emotional crossroads. And what they decide there will influence everything that follows. Because lately, they have been experiencing something they did not expect. The more they try to move forward without acknowledging their feelings, the stronger those feelings become. The more they attempt to silence their heart, the louder it speaks. And each passing day brings them closer to a truth they can no longer escape. You. Yes, you. The person they keep comparing everyone else to. The person whose energy lingers long after conversations end. The person whose absence somehow feels louder than the presence of others. They may not fully understand why this connection affects them so deeply. But they feel it. Every single day. There have been moments recently when your soulmate found themselves staring into space, lost in thoughts they could not explain. Moments when memories appeared without invitation. Moments when something reminded them of you so suddenly that it stopped them completely. And in those moments, the walls they spent so much time building began to crack. Not dramatically. Not all at once. But slowly. Quietly. Like ice melting beneath the warmth of the sun. What they once considered certainty has become uncertainty. What they once considered impossible has started to feel inevitable. Because destiny has a way of returning unfinished stories to the surface. No matter how deeply they are buried. No matter how long they remain untouched. Some connections carry a purpose that time cannot erase. And yours is one of them. There is something your soulmate has not shared with anyone. A thought. A realization. A secret conversation they have been having within themselves. It happens late at night when distractions disappear. It happens during silent moments when nobody is watching. A question keeps returning again and again. What if I never stopped loving them? That question has changed everything. Because once the heart asks it, the soul begins searching for answers. And the answers have been arriving. Not through logic. Not through explanation. But through feeling. Deep, undeniable feeling. The kind that refuses to be ignored. The kind that survives distance. The kind that survives silence. The kind that survives uncertainty. And every answer keeps leading them back toward you. But here is where the story becomes even more important. The emotional conversation approaching is not just about words. It is about truth. Real truth. The truth hidden beneath fear. The truth hidden beneath pride. The truth hidden beneath all the reasons people create to protect themselves from vulnerability. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that protecting the heart and fulfilling the heart are not always the same thing. For a long time, they chose protection. Now, something is pulling them toward honesty. And honesty changes everything. Because once a person becomes honest with themselves, they become capable of being honest with others. That moment is approaching. Closer than you realize. You may have sensed it already. A strange anticipation. A feeling that something important is drawing near. An inner knowing that refuses to disappear. Trust that feeling. Because your spirit often recognizes movement before your eyes can see it. The energy surrounding this connection is intensifying. Pieces are moving into place. Circumstances are shifting. Emotions are reaching a level where they can no longer remain hidden. Yet there is still one final piece you do not know. One detail heaven has not fully revealed. A moment occurred recently. A moment so unexpected that it forced your soulmate to confront emotions they had been avoiding for far too long. What happened during that moment awakened something powerful inside them. Something that changed the direction of their thoughts overnight. And what they realized afterward is the very reason this emotional conversation is drawing closer with each passing day. But the full truth of that realization has not yet been revealed. And when it is, you will finally understand why the universe has been preparing both hearts for what comes next. Without warning, everything changed. Not through a dramatic event. Not through a grand announcement. But through a single moment that seemed ordinary on the surface, yet carried extraordinary meaning beneath it. Your soulmate encountered something that brought your energy rushing back into their heart. Perhaps it was a memory. Perhaps it was a place. Perhaps it was a song, a dream, or a familiar feeling that appeared out of nowhere. Whatever it was, it arrived at exactly the right time. And when it did, something inside them awakened. For a brief moment, all the distractions disappeared. All the excuses faded. All the reasons they had given themselves suddenly felt weaker than the truth standing in front of them. Because sometimes life creates a moment of clarity so powerful that a person can no longer pretend they do not feel what they feel. That moment found them. And since then, their heart has not been the same. They have replayed memories they once tried to forget. Not because they wanted to live in the past, but because those memories suddenly revealed something important. Something they had overlooked. Something they had underestimated. The depth of the connection. The impact you had on their life. The way your presence changed them in ways they never fully appreciated at the time. And now, those realizations are arriving one after another. Like pieces of a puzzle finally falling into place. Each memory revealing another truth. Each truth leading to another realization. Until eventually, the picture becomes impossible to ignore. You were never just another chapter. You were never just another experience. You became part of their soul's journey. And deep inside, they know it. There are moments when they feel your absence so strongly that it catches them off guard. A laugh they wish they could share with you. A victory they wish you could witness. A difficult day when they wish they could hear your voice. The smallest moments often reveal the deepest feelings. And recently, those moments have been happening more often than ever before. What surprises them most is not that they miss you. It is how deeply they miss you. Because some emotions grow stronger in silence. Some feelings become clearer when there is distance. And some connections reveal their true value only when they are no longer within reach. That understanding has humbled them. It has softened them. It has opened parts of their heart they thought would remain closed forever. Yet another battle is still taking place inside them. A battle between fear and courage. Fear asks questions. What if it's too late? What if things have changed? What if I reveal my feelings and everything falls apart? But courage asks a different question. A much more powerful one. What if this is the opportunity I've been waiting for? That question has begun echoing louder than the others. And every day, its voice grows stronger. Because the soul was not created to live forever in regret. The soul seeks truth. The soul seeks connection. The soul seeks completion. Your soulmate is beginning to understand this. Perhaps for the first time. And as that understanding grows, so does their desire to reach out. To speak. To express what has remained hidden. To finally release the emotions they have carried for so long. But heaven wants you to know something important. This upcoming conversation is not arriving merely to satisfy curiosity. It carries purpose. A deeper purpose. There are things both of you need to hear. Things both of you need to understand. Things that can only be revealed when honesty finally enters the room. And honesty is approaching quickly. Very quickly. In fact, the energy around your soulmate has become impossible for them to ignore. Signs keep appearing. Thoughts keep returning. Feelings keep resurfacing. Again and again. Almost as if the universe itself refuses to let them forget what truly matters. And perhaps that is exactly what is happening. Because destiny often whispers many times before it finally speaks loudly. Right now, those whispers are becoming impossible to miss. Your soulmate feels it. Even if they cannot fully explain it. They sense that something significant is approaching. Something meaningful. Something capable of changing the direction of their future. But there is one final layer to this story. One final truth hidden beneath everything else. A truth they have only recently begun admitting to themselves. And when that truth fully reaches the surface, the emotional conversation you have been waiting for may arrive sooner than anyone expects. Because what they are preparing to admit is far more powerful than simply missing you. It is something much deeper. Something much more life-changing. And in the next moment of this journey, that hidden truth will finally begin to reveal itself. There comes a moment in every soul connection. A moment when feelings can no longer remain disguised. A moment when the heart becomes tired of hiding behind logic. A moment when truth rises to the surface no matter how deeply it has been buried. Your soulmate is approaching that moment now. And the closer they get, the more impossible it becomes to ignore what is happening inside them. Because the truth they have been uncovering is not merely about missing you. It is not simply about nostalgia. It is not just about remembering beautiful moments from the past. It goes much deeper than that. What they are beginning to realize is that your presence became part of the way they saw the world. Part of the way they imagined the future. Part of the dreams they carried quietly within themselves. And when that realization arrived, it shook them. Not because it was frightening, but because it was undeniable. There are certain truths that enter the heart like lightning. Silent. Yet powerful enough to illuminate everything. This was one of those truths. Suddenly, things they once overlooked started making sense. Moments they dismissed became meaningful. Conversations they barely remembered gained new importance. Pieces of the story they thought were insignificant revealed themselves as something much greater. And the more they reflected, the more one realization kept returning. You were never as far from their heart as they believed. Even during silence. Even during separation. Even during periods when life seemed to pull both of you in different directions. Something remained. Something constant. Something that refused to disappear. That realization has been changing them from the inside out. Slowly. Quietly. Powerfully. You see, people often spend years searching for certainty in the outside world. Yet true certainty usually arrives from within. And your soulmate is beginning to experience that certainty now. For the first time in a very long while. Their heart feels clear. Not completely fearless. But clear. And clarity creates movement. Clarity creates decisions. Clarity creates action. That is why the energy around this connection feels different now. Something has shifted. A chapter is closing. A new one is waiting to begin. Even if neither of you can fully see it yet. There have been nights recently when your soulmate found themselves imagining a conversation with you. Not accidentally. Not briefly. But deeply. They imagined what they would say. How they would explain everything. How they would finally reveal emotions that have remained hidden for far too long. And what is fascinating is that every version of that conversation ends the same way. With honesty. Because no matter how many scenarios they imagine, no matter how many words they rehearse, the heart keeps guiding them toward the same destination. Truth. Pure truth. The kind of truth that changes relationships. The kind of truth that heals misunderstandings. The kind of truth that opens doors once thought permanently closed. But before that truth is spoken aloud, there is one final emotional wall standing in front of them. A wall built from uncertainty. A wall created by questions that have never been answered. A wall formed by wondering whether their feelings will be understood. Yet that wall is weaker than it appears. Far weaker. Because every day their desire to speak grows stronger. Every day their need for honesty becomes greater. Every day the future pulls harder than the past. And eventually, the future always wins. That is why you have been guided to this message today. Not by accident. Not by coincidence. But because your spirit needed a reminder. Something meaningful is unfolding. Even if you cannot see every detail yet. Even if the path still contains mystery. Even if some answers remain hidden for now. Trust the movement taking place beneath the surface. Trust the timing. Trust the unseen preparation. Because while you have been wondering what is happening, heaven has been arranging pieces neither of you could arrange alone. And now, those pieces are moving into position. Faster than before. Much faster. The emotional conversation that once felt distant is drawing near. Closer with every passing day. Closer with every passing realization. Closer with every heartbeat. But what your soulmate is preparing to reveal may be even more powerful than you imagine. Because there is a sentence they have been carrying within themselves. A sentence they have been afraid to fully acknowledge. A sentence that explains everything. The moment they finally allow themselves to speak those words, nothing will ever feel quite the same again. And that moment is approaching now. The heart has a language of its own. A language that exists beyond explanations. Beyond perfect timing. Beyond all the reasons people give for remaining silent. And sooner or later, that language demands to be heard. Your soulmate is standing on the edge of that moment now. The moment when feelings become stronger than fear. The moment when truth becomes more important than uncertainty. The moment when the soul whispers, "No more hiding." For so long, they have carried emotions that were easier to feel than to explain. Emotions that appeared unexpectedly. Emotions that returned repeatedly. Emotions that refused to disappear no matter how much time passed. At first, they questioned them. Then they resisted them. Then they tried to outrun them. But some truths cannot be outrun. Some connections continue calling to us until we finally listen. And your soulmate has begun listening. Really listening. Not to the noise of the world. Not to the opinions of others. But to the quiet voice inside their heart. The voice that keeps speaking your name. The voice that keeps reminding them of what truly matters. The voice that refuses to let this connection fade into a forgotten memory. That voice has become impossible to ignore. And because of that, a powerful transformation is taking place. The fears that once seemed enormous are beginning to shrink. The doubts that once felt convincing are losing their power. The walls that once felt permanent are beginning to crumble. Not all at once. But steadily. With purpose. With intention. As if something greater is guiding every step. And perhaps something greater is. Because there are moments in life when destiny gently places two paths in front of a person. One path leads toward comfort. The other leads toward truth. Comfort feels safer. Truth feels riskier. But truth carries the possibility of transformation. Your soulmate is beginning to understand this. They are beginning to realize that some opportunities are too meaningful to leave unexplored. Some feelings are too important to remain unspoken. Some people are too significant to lose without trying. And you are becoming impossible for them to overlook. Not because of circumstances. Not because of coincidence. But because the connection itself keeps calling them back. Again. And again. And again. There is something beautiful happening beneath the surface right now. While you may only see silence, preparation is taking place. While you may only see uncertainty, understanding is growing. While you may wonder whether anything is changing, everything is changing. The heart often works quietly before it speaks loudly. And your soulmate's heart has been doing tremendous work behind the scenes. Healing. Learning. Realizing. Awakening. Every experience has been leading toward this moment. Every lesson has been preparing them for what comes next. Because the sentence they have been carrying inside themselves is finally becoming clear. The sentence they once avoided. The sentence they once feared. The sentence that explains why thoughts of you never truly disappeared. Why memories continue returning. Why emotions continue growing. Why this connection continues pulling at their soul. And that sentence is simple, yet powerful enough to change everything. It is the realization that what they feel is real. Not temporary. Not imagined. Not created by loneliness or circumstance. Real. Deeply real. The kind of feeling that remains present through seasons of silence. The kind of feeling that survives distance. The kind of feeling that waits patiently for the right moment to reveal itself. And now, that moment is drawing near. Can you feel it? That subtle shift in energy? That sense that something important is approaching? That quiet anticipation that seems to come from nowhere? Trust it. Because your spirit is recognizing movement before your eyes can see it. The universe has been arranging encounters. Aligning timing. Opening pathways. Removing obstacles. Little by little. Day by day. Until eventually, the distance between two hearts becomes smaller than the desire to remain apart. And when that happens, conversations begin. Truth emerges. Masks fall away. The soul finally says what it has wanted to say all along. But there is one final revelation still waiting. One final piece of this divine unfolding. A message hidden beneath every sign. Every memory. Every emotion. Every moment of longing. And when that final revelation arrives, you will understand why this connection has remained so strong despite everything. You will understand why your soulmate could never truly forget you. And most importantly, you will understand what heaven has been preparing both of you for all along. Because the most important part of this story has yet to be spoken.